One thing that I did notice, there were comments about the serious mental health illnesses, and this is something, you know, I have a very big passion overall when it comes to mental illness, but then also specifically with veterans. And so to see that HHS and the VA, they have not been necessarily working together, and maybe you can speak to that, where you did identify that HHS is opposed to facilitating interagency coordination across the mental health programs, and why HHS and the VA, why they're opposed to evaluating these programs. That seems very counterproductive to me.
Yeah.
If you could address that,
yes,
please.
Cindy Bissetta, who's in charge of all our healthcare work, has
Thanks,
a long
Cindy.
history here, can give you the details. But I too, I was very disappointed in the agency's response to not coordinate outside the agency in this particular area of time, and I believe congressional oversight would be helpful.
Wonderful. Thank you, Cindy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have ongoing work, actually, that's continuing to look at the coordination within the Department of Health and Human Services as well as across the federal government, and they have changed their tune a bit about our our prior recommendation. So we do think that there will be increased action within SAMHSA to do much more in the way of leadership. Part of their initial hesitance was that they argued that CMS, in fact, was a payer but not a provider of services, which is true, but our report wasn't focused on the payment issue. It was focused on finding out which programs are most effective and having that information across the programs that had the subject matter knowledge, including the civilian and the military and VA programs, to have them then feed into a process where hopefully there'd be a feedback loop eventually, and those programs that were most effective would be reimbursed, and those that were not as effective or not evidence-based, if you will, would not be subject to reimbursement. So there's a long way to go in terms of measurement, but we're hopeful that there's more attention now being paid to this important area.
Very good. I think that's very frustrating when you have agencies, when there are better ways of doing it, they're not implementing those. And I would echo that if there is legislation that we can work on to force the issue along, I'm happy to do that. But this is a vulnerable population that we need to ensure is getting the best possible treatment, if at all possible.